In 1969, Dr. Donald Goodwin gathered a group of study participants and asked them to each regard the object he had shown them 2 minutes prior. The twist? All the participants were very intoxicated. Despite this, most could pay attention to the task and correctly name the toy they had just seen. Yet, when Donald asked them to recall the object a mere 30 minutes later, how the participants drew a blank, having them blacked out the earlier moment entirely. The study illustrates the strange and somewhat selective effect alcohol has on the brain. Many intoxicated people can perform complex tasks like holding a detailed conversation or navigating walk home. Yet, for those experiencing what is known as a blackout, the memory of these events could be quickly forgotten. So how does alcohol cause these memory lapses? First, let's identify the culprit. Why a single drink often contains hundreds of different chemical compounds. Ethanol is responsible for alcohol's effect on the brain. Ethanol is a lightweight and lipophilic, meaning its structure easily dissolves into fats, like those in the membrane of the outer blood-brain barrier. Once inside the brain, ethanol's unique structure allows it to bind to, interact, and affect many different neural receptors, impairing pathways that allow you to make careful decisions, control your impulses, even manage your motor skills. Allows it to bind to, interact, and affect many different neural receptors, impairing pathways that allow you to make careful decisions, control your impulses, even manage your motor skills, and networks that control your memory seem to be especially sensitive to alcohol's effects. Typically, information about your surroundings is taken in by your sensory organs and sent to the brain. Neurons transport this information to one another via chemical messenger called neurotransmitters, which are released by one neuron and received by a receptor at another. When a neurotransmitter binds to a receptor, it unlocks an internal channel, allowing a small ion to flow into the cell. If enough ion enters the cells, the neuron fires, sending the signal forward. Through this process, different regions of the brain can Through this process, different regions of the brain can communicate with one another in milliseconds, creating a moment-to-moment understanding of the world. But ethanol interacts with receptors, making it harder for neurons to communicate. While compromised, the brain is still able to transport information, which is why many intoxicated people seem somewhat capable of performing these tasks. In other words, brain function is highly impaired, but not completely broken. But memory storage is a different story. The transfer of moment-to-moment understanding to something we can remember is thought to depend on a process called long-term potentiation, or ATP. ATP happens throughout the brain, but is especially important in learning and memory regions like the neocortex and the hippocampus. During ATP, the firing of the neuron triggers the physical changes to its structure. For example, more receptors may be moved to its cell surface, making the neuron more sensitive to future signals from its neighbors. These physical changes increase the likelihood of the cell that will fire again at the center. These physical changes increase the likelihood that cell will fire again at the connection, strengthening the wiring between neurons. And through this stronger connection, it's thought that a stable memory is formed. Yet studies suggest that ethanol has a unique ability to disrupt ATP, blocking the physical changes and needed for memory formation. So while moment-to-moment information is encoded and understood, the storage of that information is blunted, resulting in a blackout. Of course, not all level of drinking results in blackouts. Of course, not all level of drinking result in blackout. Of course, not all levels of drinking result in blackouts. They happen when the concentration of alcohol in the blood, or BAC, exceeds a certain level, approximately 0.16. But there's no magic number. A slightly low BAC is running out, or spotty memory of events can occur. as some neurons continue to function properly while others fail, and drinking too much can cause a person to pass out altogether. Other factors like dehydration level, genetic differences in medications, even how much you've eaten, can affect the likelihood of the blackout. In teenagers appear to be especially vulnerable due to a substantial changes in brain development throughout those years. Alcohol's short-term effects usually don't last longer than the time it takes. Alcohol's short-term effects usually don't last longer than the time it takes for the body to metabolize it, or about a day. But repeatedly over drinking can damage the neurons and impair. But repeatedly over drinking can damage neurons and permanently impair memory. It can also harm other organs, like the liver, which works overtime breaking down alcohol. After all, experiencing a blackout or witnessing others in this compromising state can be a lot for your mind in After all, experiencing a blackout or witnessing others in this compromising state can be a lot for your mind and body to process.